Hello guys and welcome back to DarkHorse FM, and in this video we're going to be looking at a ridiculous 6-striker tactic designed for Liverpool. Apparently it was a joke. It started out on Twitter. Someone sent me this image of Liverpool strikers, all the signings that Liverpool have gone on to sign this season. And you could just look at all the players they're all attacking players, even though Liverpool are struggling defensively. So I did have the challenge to go on to create this tactic on Football Manager 2023. And we're going to look at the results that I had. They're quite ridiculous as well. Obviously, we're looking at the defensive part of the game, and we didn't do that well defensively, but I have to admit, goal scoring department, top notch. This tactic scores as heavy as 5 goals per game. We did start off the season with some wins in friendlies, but I didn't really pay much attention to those games. And then our first heavy victory came up against Leeds in a 5-1 victory away from home. Leeds United did get their revenge against us far down towards the end of the season, but I'm still going to show you guys how that went down. And then we did go on to have some other good victories as well against Southampton, 5-2, and then you can see a 6-1 victory over Chelsea at home as well. And then RB Salzburg went on to beat them by 5-2, a 5-4 victory over Brighton, and then you can see that immediately after that game we went on to lose 5-4 to Leicester as well. We did go on to beat West Ham by 6-0. Some heavy defeats and heavy victories in here. We did go on to beat Bournemouth by 5-1, and then just before the Bournemouth game was where Leeds United had their revenge against us in the Carabao Cup 4th round by beating us by 5-2. We did go on to beat Nottingham Forest by 5-2, and then Dagenham and Redbridge suffered a 15-1 heavy defeat. We did go on to win Chelsea by 5-2 and Manchester United by 7-2. Another 4-1 in there, 5-1 as well. A lot of heavy victories and some minor defeats as well. The season did go on to shape up well. We did get another revenge on Leeds with a 3-0 victory, and then we beat Manchester City by 7-4. 5-4 again, and then at the end of the season we did go on to get our revenge on Leeds, this time in the FA Cup final with a 5-2 victory at Wembley just after beating Bournemouth by 8-1. The tactic is a 3-1-6 system, and then let me just clear everybody so you can look at what the tactic looks like. The generic roles, or let me say the roles that I selected for this tactic were based on the players that I was envisaging or imagining we're going to play the specific roles. We had Andy Robertson at the left back position, and then you have Trent Alexander-Arnold playing as an inverted wing back on support duty. These are the instructions that I gave to both players to actually go on to execute those roles. Alisson Becker in goal playing as a super keeper on support duty. I did not attach any instruction to him. And then you have Van Dijk playing as the ball playing defender in the defensive midfield, in the defender's position. Matip sometimes played there as well. Even Fabinho went on to feature in that position as well. The defensive midfielder role was a tricky one because I did start with a deep lying playmaker on support, but then I realized that the guy was not very defensive, so I had to switch him to a more defensive role, which was a defensive midfielder on support duty, and then include the take more risk instruction for the player so that he can go on to be slightly more adventurous, even though he's going to be more defensive. And then for the attackers was where there was a lot of drama going on. I started with 3 strikers, and then I opted for 2 strikers and 2 attacking midfielders, and then I finally settled on this system where there are 3 attacking midfielders and then 3 strikers as well. The complete forward on attack, pressing forward on attack, and then an advanced forward on attack. At some point I had a shadow striker in the attacking midfield position playing with a false 9 on support duty, but I realized that these guys sort of went in each other's way a lot. So I tend to I swapped those roles with a pressing forward on attack and an attacking midfielder on support duty, and it sort of worked quite well, because as much as we were adventurous and trying to score more goals and as heavy as possible in attack, the attacking midfielder on support duty somewhat helped in the central midfield position. So that was quite helpful to try and cover us on goals and stop us from conceding so many goals. And then looking at the inside forward on attack, we had only one instruction to tackle hard, and this was Luis Diaz. And then Carvalho played a hefty chunk of games in this tactic with the attacking midfielder on support duty. This position was filled by Harvey Elliott and Carvalho. Salah, of course, played on the wide right as the inside forward on attack duty, and then Cody Gakpo would play as my complete forward on attack duty. Firmino would obviously operate as the pressing forward, and then Darwin Núñez, probably one of my highest goal scorers in this season. We're going to look at the stats as well, but he played as the advanced forward on attack. We're going to look at the player stats in a minute, but if you're new to the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when new tactic videos, probably ridiculous tactic videos, if I come across them, if I go on to create something as crazy as this, you're going to get updated when those new tactic videos do come out here on the channel. So before we look at the player stats, we're going to look at the data hub to see how well Liverpool did. General performance in the league, we had 3.55 goals per game. Although you can see that we went on to score 5 goals in most of the matches that we played, sometimes 8, sometimes 15, thereabout, but 3.55 is the on average goals per game XG, that's what I'm going to call it. And then defensively, we probably had a lot of problems. You can see that we conceded 1.97 goals per game, that's 2 each game, and we were expected to concede 1.91. That's roughly about 2 goals per game as well. So defensively, the tactic was quite porous, and we could do better. But that has a lot to do with us having only one central defender, and then not as opposed to having two. So basically, I didn't really expect much from the tactic defensively. The objective of this tactic was to try and score as many goals as possible. Then looking at the player stats, and you can see how well everybody did in attack or in defense. We'll see who had the most goals in this tactic. Let's just shift across to looking at player appearances. We're going to filter it by goals, and then we can see Roberto Firmino had the highest amount of goals. He scored 45 goals in the season. Darwin Núñez had 42, and then I hope this is actually showing properly. Let me just move slightly to the right. Yep, I think we got that right. So Salah was next with 36 goals, and then Diogo Jota had 18 goals. Luis Diaz was in there as well with 10, and then Gakpo also had 10 goals. Everybody else below that, Fabi Carvalho, he had 9. He had 32 appearances coming off the bench in total, and then starting appearance was like 16. So he had played a lot of games compared to the amount of games that I thought he was going to play. And then 8 for Anderson Arroyo. Oh, he's not even in the team. And then Harvey Elliott did go on to have 8. Thiago Alcantara chipped in with 5. Van Dijk as well, 5 goals. By the way, when you're speaking of Van Dijk, I didn't actually include any set piece instructions for this tactic, so there are no set pieces. In case you want to download this tactic, I'm going to attach a link in the description so you can get the tactic for yourself, but you can also attach your own set pieces. Because there aren't any set pieces attached to the tactic, I'm going to leave it as it is so you can go on to design your own set pieces for the tactic in case you have a set piece that works out for you. So we're going to catch you in a later video with more ridiculous Football Manager tests, Football Manager tactic tests like this. If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like on it, and also to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. I'll catch you guys much later. See you in the next video.